And good morning. Welcome back. Welcome to the Radical Vision for Disabilities show, where we talk more about the person with disabilities and what they're going through, but also their caregivers and how important it is for their caregivers to understand what they're going through when sometimes they're not always able to communicate that. So a good friend of ours is joining us again, and I can't wait to introduce him, but also understand we have good stuff coming for you at the end of the show where we're going to be talking about who's going to be on in the coming week. So look forward to that. And then, as always, I want to make sure that I bring on our good friend, Mr. Greg Cini. Hey, good morning,
Hey,
Greg.
hey, Brian, how are you? It's good
I'm
to see
great.
you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here in Columbus.
It is a wonderful day. The sun is shining.
Yes,
So
sir.
you got to love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Greg, uh, you were so kind to share this book with me that you wrote. I love that. So we'll hold it up here for everybody to see. Things to remember about memory care.
I hand
So
delivered that, remember?
yes, very nice. Thank you. And we were very COVID friendly. We shook hands, but after making sure that we both had the vaccination. So anyway, but thank you for that. Now,
Absolutely.
tell us what is going on and what you tell us what's going on with you.
Well, so I guess maybe I can start with why I wrote this book. Do you want it to be more
Yeah,
focused on that?
sure.
Yeah, I can tell you that the original inspiration came from my wife, and her name's Lisa, and she has authored many different books, and a couple of them have become bestsellers on Amazon. And she told me a few years back that everybody has a book in them if they would just focus and be willing to tell their story. Well, this is my version of my story and things that I've learned by being in the senior living industry for over 20 years, traveling the world, working with all the top companies, and now owning my own Alzheimer and dementia care here in Central Ohio. And so the book is really designed to help families gain clarity as to what they should expect when they're looking for the best care for somebody, a loved one that's struggling with Alzheimer or dementia. And so it really helps them to sort of redefine what dementia care is, have clarity as to what they should look for. And then when they go into a community, what are the questions they should ask? And so it's a really easy read. It touches on a bunch of different areas related to dementia care. And it's really what the future of dementia care is. Are you still there, Brian?
I am still here. Sorry about
I thought I lost you. I was worried. That
that.
awkward silence. Thought
Yeah.
maybe you took a coffee break.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. So you talk about what the books your wife encouraged you to write the book because everybody has a book inside of them. So how did you know? How did you know that what you were going to write about? And I know you've had other people that have lended to the other chapters in the book, but how did you know? How did you know your vision?
Yeah, so it was a culmination of many years of experiences, especially traveling around the United States, around the world, China, Japan, the Philippines, Europe. I worked in 48 of the 50 states
Hmm.
with many of the top senior living companies, and a lot of them had Alzheimer and dementia care. And for instance, in Japan, they use a lot of technology in senior care that we do not use in the U.S. And a lot of it is just because their culture is more comfortable with technology, robotic animals and pets, exoskeletons that actually help people to walk better. So things that, I could barely get Wi-Fi throughout an entire building here in the US, and here they are using exoskeletons in Japan. And so my wife
Wow.
wrote a book on senior living redefined, and it really talks to all the latest in technology that can be used in senior living environment, and that became one of her bestsellers. And so that inspired me to really think about, if I did something related to senior care, what would it look like? And one of my very best friends in the industry was the Kemper family up in Cleveland. And they have owned and operated dementia cares in the Cleveland market for over 25 years. Betty Kemper, the founder, has been working with dementia for the last 50 years of her life. And so they were real pioneers. And being such good friends of mine, I was able to spend a lot of time in their communities and really fell in love with their mission, their vision, their values. You could really sense the love and care and compassion in their communities. And so 8 years ago, I started writing a business plan, and I wanted to own and operate Alzheimer and dementia care. At this time, the Kempers didn't know that I was wanting to do something like that. And about 2 years ago, it sort of came to a head when my business partner, Don Kenny Jr., asked my wife if she wanted to partner together to develop senior living. And she's like, heck no, I don't want to wipe people's butts. And so she said, but my husband does. And so you two should meet and see if it would work out. So we did that 2.5 years ago. Don and I met and we formed a partnership. He's second generation developer, so I knew that he could develop and put a building together like we needed it, and I could bring the senior living expertise to the table. And so our first call was to the Kempers, and I told Betty Kemper, I'm like, Betty, we would love to bring your care to Central Ohio, and even more so your name. And if you would honor us with that, we would be so grateful. And she said, let's meet. She knew my heart. I'm very resident centric. I'm sort of like I'm a loving heart kind of guy. I love to hug people. And so she knew that I would be a good fit. She's like, I got to meet this Don Kenny guy and make sure he can cut the mustard. And so we went up, we met. Within 15 minutes, we're like, oh yeah, this is going to work. And that's really where it started. Then it was just a matter of us finding land, putting a building together, which our first building was built in Central Ohio in Worthington at the corner of Proprietors and 161. We've been operating now for almost 2 years, and I have learned so much. And the thing of it was the Kempers knew how to care for people with dementia, and I had a lot of knowledge on the latest in research and technology that I could bring and sort of layer onto the Kemper model. So we've done that. So our community really uses nutrition and fitness and the latest in research and technology to not only care for our residents, but to actually push back against the disease. And so that's really why I wrote this book. So December of 19, we do goal setting between Christmas and New Year's as a family. And one of my goals was I'm going to author a book. And so come January, I came up with 12 different chapters, and I actually made each one of my leadership team members write a chapter on what they were most interested in or affected by. And so we basically chronicled what we were doing at Kemper House, which really we're doing stuff at Kemper House that nobody's doing in the world. And so I wanted to publish a book that was agnostic in a sense, that it wasn't about Kemper House. It's not about marketing Kemper House. I don't want to do that. That's not what this is for. This is about educating families to help them find the best location, the best dementia care in their region, wherever it's at, any place in the world, for their loved one. And so that's how it all started. And by June of 2020, we published a book on Amazon, and it's what you showed earlier. And so it's just been such a fun journey. I actually have people show up to our building and they don't connect the book and me until they get here, and they're like, "Oh my God, I have your book. I actually was taking photographs of it and sending it to my family." I'm like, "That is so awesome. Like, you've totally made my day."
Wow.
But yeah, it's a wonderful tool to really help people and find some direction. And it's a very stressful process, and this gives them some clarity and some hope that they can make decisions that bring them peace and the best possible life for their loved one when they're going through the disease process.
So you mentioned a number of things there that I want to touch on. And one of the things is you mentioned how you do things that no one else does. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. We actually, so I worked with, this is just crazy. God has put people in my life that feel random, but I know it's for a purpose. And one of the first people that he put in my life was I met at Title Boxing. And he was my age, we're the old guys there in our 50s, and we're just tearing up the bags. We're keeping up with these 20-year-olds, right? And I just was intrigued by, wow, who is this guy? Like, he's a musclehead and he's sitting here slamming these bags around. I was like impressed. And I was like, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I do documentaries on people, the athletes that have achieved amazing things, like people with disabilities that become, something in Special Olympics, or people that were super obese and become world-class athletes." And then I started talking to him. I said, "Well, I have this vision with dementia care where I would like to bring fitness into dementia care so that I can battle back against the disease. We know that keeping a fit body helps you to keep a fit brain, regardless if you have dementia or not. So I wanted to create a gym that would help our residents fight back against the disease." And he's like, "I know the perfect person for you." And he introduced me to Gary Reinl, who literally wrote the book on senior living fitness. And you can look him up. He's amazing. He actually, he shouldn't even be working with a guy like me. He works with top athletes around the world, baseball players, and he's just incredible. But he has a passion for senior living and fitness. And when I shared with him what I wanted to do, he basically guided me in a direction that I was able to meet with one of the gentlemen that originally owned the manufacturing plant for Nautilus, just a game changer, a guy that put a program together that it's all about senior fitness. And so he and I, Dean Sabarja, actually designed a gym like no other. It's really original. All the parts and pieces in it and the equipment was designed specifically to deal with many of the comorbidities that seniors deal with, from gait issues to balance issues to bone density issues to swallowing issues, and then obviously cognitive decline. And so what he's created is this platform. It's called multimodal exercising. So think about when your heart rate increases, blood flow to your brain increases, and oxygen level increases. And in that moment is when you want to tax yourself cognitively. And that's where you can see cognitive improvement, regardless if you have dementia or not. So all of our equipment has some type of gamification, so a computer on it that when they're exercising, they're also using their brain. And that's one way that we help to push back against the disease. And so no other dementia care in the world that I know of has a gym like we do. And every single one of our residents, no matter where they are in their journey, would spend a certain amount of time in our gym or moving around our building doing some type of fitness. And that varies from simply just taking 100 steps one day and 101 steps the next, to literally sweating it out in our gym. And that's one thing that we've invented. We created it. It's called the Kemper Restorative Program. And it's really powerful. And it's so amazing to see a 94-year-old literally sweating it out in our gym, fighting back against the disease. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And I tell you what, so you have like these visions, and then to actually see it play out is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I'll walk past the gym and I'll see a couple residents in there working one-on-one with our care team. And it brings me the most joy that I'm just elated because it's what it's all about. And we're cheerleading them on, and it's just super powerful. And that's just one thing. And then we also use food as medicine. So it's all farm to table, fresh made from scratch, no preservatives, no additives, no processed ingredients. So the magic behind this is we literally have a 5-star chef here. Chef Amy could go and work at any top restaurant in Central Ohio, but she chose, because of our mission, to work at Kemper House. So not only do our residents love their food and eat the amount that they need to eat, it is making them healthier. So once again, it goes back to a healthier body, a healthier heart is a healthier brain, regardless if you have dementia or not. So those are just a few things. Then we use technology, telehealth, telemedicine. We use watches that actually track movement in our building. They detect falls. We're doing beta testing with Philips, which is one of the top companies in the world for providing healthcare equipment. And we're working directly with them to create ways to sort of monitor health and monitor movement for our residents. And it's total transparency. So our families can actually see when mom got up, when she went to lunch, did she go out into our courtyard, spend some time with our chickens? What did she do throughout the day? And it's a non-invasive way to actually see the activity of their loved one. And it tells us a story too. As we're tracking them, we're seeing habits. And then if a pattern changes, it'll actually tell us that, hey, Susie got up 3 times to go to the bathroom last night instead of 1 time. You may want to check for a UTI. So we're using technology to help support our efforts in caring for our residents. So those are just 3 things, and I could go on, but those are some of the unique things.
Wow. That is awesome.
Thank you.
And you have chicken.
And we have chickens, yes. So Kemper House has 2 chickens. I was a chicken keeper when I was in Bexley, and so I wanted to bring chickens to Kemper House. So we have 2 chickens, and it's really, we don't eat the eggs, but we're able to get the eggs. We feed the chickens. It's just another activity that a lot of our residents actually grew up with chickens, right? Yeah. And so they're super comfortable with that. When I tell families, yeah, we have chickens, you want to see them? Laverne and Shirley is their name. And they're a blast. They're pets. They're friendly. They're in our courtyard. And then I'm also a beekeeper. So we have 10 hives on the corner of our property where we can extract over 300 pounds of honey every year from them that we use in our own kitchen.
Wow. And so you use the honey, obviously. But what do you do with the eggs?
We give them away to either staff or family. I don't know if you've ever had backyard eggs. Tastes totally different, amazing, much more nutritional for you. And so it depends on the feed that you give them. So we give them high quality protein food. They actually eat food out of our kitchen. So they eat better than most families do in Central Ohio.
Yeah. So we eat, you give away, you sell or give away the eggs. That's awesome. You're answering some questions here that Linda has. Yeah. So she agrees with you about the fresh eggs.
Fresh eggs are awesome. Yeah. 100%.
Oh,
yeah. If
great.
you've never had them, they're definitely, even they crack different. They taste different. The yellow of the egg is different in color and nutrition. And so, yeah, it's powerful, but we have rules that we have to follow, that we can't use fresh eggs. They have to be, I forget, pasteurized.
Okay.
So, but families and friends can eat them.
It's funny in overseas, at least in the UK, they put eggs out in the open. So you like in a grocery store, they're not refrigerated. Here they're always refrigerated.
Yeah, because what we do is, so the eggs that I get, you can leave out for over 30 days. The egg actually comes out of the chicken with a seal. It's perfectly sealed, so you have no micro cracks in the shell itself. As soon as you wash it or put it in a refrigerator, it changes the density of the shell itself. And then you have to refrigerate it from there moving forward because you washed off all the sealant that was around it. There's a specific name for it, but I can't remember it.
We'll call it a sealant.
The sealant, the egg sealant.
And Linda agrees about the families. They are very appreciative of that. So, wow, that is awesome. I mean,
I'm coming at you fast, aren't I?
Wow. I mean, there's a lot here.
I know.
So thinking about that from a caregiver's perspective, and you help to relay so much information to the caregivers that they're normally not going to get. How do you propose that? I don't want to say how do you sell that, but how do you make it known to them when they're considering Kemper House?
Yeah, well, really what I tell people is the best way to start when you're looking for dementia care is to ask family and friends. Do you know of a place, or have you been through this experience, and have you had success in that? And even if you live here in Central Ohio and you have a family member that lives in Florida and they're able to say, yeah, I've been through this. I learned a lot through that process. I would actually recommend enlisting them to help you through this journey. So for me, that's the first step, is find somebody that can help you through this journey. And then the next thing you do is you jump on the internet and you start searching in your area. And what I would say is you want to really find a place that specializes in dementia care. There are many companies that provide dementia care services, but very few of them do them well, and very few of them is it their main focus. For us, Kemper House, it's all we do. All of our training, all of our hiring, all of our practices, our culture, everything is built towards caring for people with dementia, and it makes all the difference in the world. So we're able to, when somebody moves into a specialized dementia care, we can take care of very early stage all the way through end of life. So most of our residents will pass under our care, whereas some communities, I call them sort of memory care light, and you reach a certain level where they just can't handle the behaviors or where they are in the disease process, and then they would have to move to a place like ours. I tell people right out of the gate, when you start seeing issues, if you get yourself in line with the right company, they can help at early stages all the way through end of life and be able to provide the highest quality life through that entire process. So asking friends and family first. Once you designate maybe 3 or 4 communities you want to go check out, I would ask your friend or family to come with you. And really, the journey begins the minute you approach the building. Look at the building. Look at how it's kept. Is the building itself well, is it clean? Is the landscape well taken care of? What is the road presence of that community? And then as you're parking, is it easy to access? Is it easy to find your way around? And you entering the door, is it clean? Is it orderly? Or is it sort of in disarray? Is it, the thresholds, are they dirty? And the only reason why I tell people to look at this is because great dementia care is in the details. Just like God is in the detail, great memory care is in the details. And so these are little signals to you as to where the owner's head is at when you're walking and approaching this building. It's sending a message that they're either thinking about all the details, and that means they're not only thinking about the details of their building and their landscape and the entry, they're thinking about your loved one. And once you get inside of that building, then what does that feel like? Who are you greeted by? Are they pleasant? Are they filled with joy? Are they resourceful? Will they help you literally do everything? And that's sort of the ambassador of the community and helps to define who they are. And then you're walking through the building. You should be listening to discussions, not just who you're meeting with, but discussions with staff to staff, caregivers to residents, and just see how that interaction is. And if you don't walk out of there feeling like this place could take better care of my loved one than I can myself, I trust these people, I can feel the love, it's palpable. Literally, you can sense the love in a building when it's right. If you don't feel that kind of stuff, then I would go to the next place. And it's out there, and it's not based on the beauty of a building and all this wonderful stuff we have at Kemper House. It's really the people and the culture. And so when you find the right culture, even if they don't have all the magical things that we have at Kemper House, that's where you should go, because it is about the people ultimately.
Yeah, that's great advice. I really appreciate you telling us about that. So, but you mentioned at one point, you mentioned your first location is in Worthington. Do you have a second location?
Well, so I'm hoping by the end of this year that we'll have a next location picked out. So we haven't found land yet. I honestly want to be in Upper Arlington. So that's my big push and Upper Arlington is sort of landlocked, just like Worthington is landlocked. It's high barrier to entry type community, but I know there's a tremendous need there. And I know God's going to open up doors for us, and we're going to end up finding the perfect site to be able to help families in Upper Arlington. It's a very untapped market just because it's so hard to build there. But if anybody can do that, it's Don and myself.
And Don's last name again was?
Don Kenny. Don Kenny Jr. Yep.
Okay.
He's amazing. Second generation developer. I'm 54. He's like 48. So he always calls me the old man. But I can run faster and further than him. So whatever. But yeah, just salt of the earth guy. He has a loving heart. He loves his wife. He's a good husband, a good father, and absolutely adores his dad. Like his dad is Don Kenny Sr. And Don Kenny Sr. is just an amazing man with a heart of gold. And I'm just so grateful to be partnered with a family like the Kenny family, because it brings us so much opportunity for our residents.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you've found your tribe. And it sounds like you have a culture that attracts that tribe.
Yeah. It's really, I'm culture curator here, and that's what I invest my time in. My most important role here is who I hire and how I mentor.
Yeah.
Wow. That's how you better be clear on your culture. Otherwise it will define itself.
Who you hire and how you mentor.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you. So I'm making some notes here. I love this, but tell us, if you would, is there one thing you would leave our audience with today? And I know we're gonna be having further conversations, but
sure.
What is that one thing you would leave them with today?
Yeah. So I would say, just because this is really based around finding the right dementia care, that it's worth going to Amazon, buying the book, what to remember about memory care, and just know that all the proceeds go towards a foundation, a not-for-profit foundation. So it's not about me selling books. It's about really helping people with that journey and taking the time to understand and reset things to remember about memory care, and use that as a tool to really guide what you're doing. And I promise you, if you take the time to invest in it and you find the right piece, it will bring families peace of mind, and communities that are right fit. That's exactly what they do, because they know their loved one is getting the best possible care and living their highest quality of life while living with the disease.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you having me on. I actually super enjoy this, and you're a joy to work with.
Well, good. I'm glad. And I want to make sure that I make this so we can come back. So I know we have some things on the calendar. We'll make sure that we have more of those. So thank you again. I'm going to wave you off, but if you would hang out in the green room, that would be great.
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, Greg. Wow. What a great show. Great job, Greg. I mean, he's a phenomenal friend and resource when it comes to memory care. So looking forward to having more conversations like that with him and other people. So having said that, we've got good stuff lined up for you for next week. Jason Hewlett, Jess Pettit, Nito Kubain. Nito Kubain is he's got a different title, head chancellor, president of High Point University in North Carolina. So looking forward to having him on Wednesday. But I just thank you so much for everyone, for all of you being on and for all that you do. If there's ever anything that I can do for you, by all means, let me know, because I would love to help. And if you have any other questions, just remember, by all means,